Teapot Podcast, take one.
Look at that, and it's even got the colour chart as well.
Right.
Yeah, job done. Right, I'll sync mine up. That's as technical as I get.
Now, I will say it is a garage. Mistakes happen, so this is a custom one.
We're playing on a different level here. I need to. Over here in the UK, we have the likes of Missenden Flyer, Lamb Chops, Richie Vida, some of the bigger moto vloggers. Boys, we need to up our game. We need one of these clapperboards. Right. Chase, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
I am so glad to have finally figured this out. I know we were sending a lot of messages, and I felt like shit because I was like, wait, what's the cussing situation?
Feel free. No worries.
Oh, thank God. Problem. Shit, because there's lots of F-bombs that get dropped even at 8:30 in the morning, trust. I know we were sending a lot of messages back and forth, and I was like, I want to do this, but the schedule on the norm is just stupid. You know what I mean? So it's like, I will figure out a way, come hell or high water. So I'm super happy to be on here, man.
Dude, I really appreciate it. I can only sort of imagine how busy you must be, because I only went full time at this March sometime, and in the last month it's just gone crazy. And even at my level, trying to juggle everything, like get the editing done and then find time to get out and do the test rides on the bikes, and it's like I've got no time to ride a bike.
And then at some point you need to do some level of research on the bike you're going to be riding, and it's the pre-production, filming, and post-production eats you alive, especially if you want to make higher level content. It just starts like multiplying like crazy.
Yeah, you've got like a full-on proper professional camera you take out now, don't you? You've got the guy that films and edits.
Yeah, so we've slowly built the team. I didn't really need to build a team of people until Wreck Bike Rebuild started, and then like me being not a technical guy. I don't know if you've watched the show, but I don't do the wrenching stuff. This camera stuff. I feel you,
brother. I'm exactly the same boat.
But dude, like the camera stuff, the editing, the audio, I'm here for it. So bringing that on. And I did the first season by myself, which was fine. You have a little camera and you're moving the tripod around, and it was more of a like, hey, let's see what happens. And now we're into the realm of like, we're building like proper dream bikes. I don't know if you probably can't see, but we got the CBR 600. Yeah, behind me there's an engine on a table and stuff. So like we're doing proper stuff, and there's no way I would be able to do that by myself. So but having the guy handle the camera, Luke, it just allows me and Brian's the mechanic guy that, or the technician is the technical term that he likes to be called. But I'm having to deal with camera stuff and focus on what you're doing is very hard, especially when you're trying to learn something new, because like I'm learning something every single day we film. So instead of having to be like, oh, what's my angle look like? Is the lighting good from this direction? Which is what my brain wants to do, because that I can conceptualize that and do that way easier. But instead I'm having to be like, that's a throttle body, and we're going to be removing it from the intake manifold. Like that's what I'm having to do. So I don't have the luxury of being like, oh yeah, let's film this in 60 frames a second so we could slow it down for the edit. You know what I mean? Like it's a mindset shift for me, but I'm working on it. I'm trying. We're on season 5. I should be better. Should be better at it by now.
Mate, it's an impressive. Actually, I better actually introduce you to folks in case they're not aware of you.
Yes.
Folks, if you've been on a different planet, this is Chase on 2 wheels. American moto vlogger, probably one of the main originals, really. Chase, how about I hand it over to you? What's your name? Where'd you come from? What you do?
My name is Chase, and I'm a moto vlogger. I come from America, and that is all I will tell you. No, so yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate having the being here for so long, because it's been an interesting ride being in the moto vlogger section so long. But yeah, I'm an American moto vlogger. Been doing it for 10 years, working on 11, and I have a YouTube channel where I focus on doing reviews of motorcycles, gear, and attempt to rebuild motorcycles and give those motorcycles away semi-successfully.
Yeah, I mean, the premise, you've moved, I know there's a background history to it, but you've moved a lot of your stuff across onto Patreon, and I have a reasonably successful Patreon following. Thank you very much, people. You take that to a whole new level, and obviously you have whole series which are Patreon specific, aren't they?
Yeah, so the only stuff we put on Patreon are the like full length Patreon episodes, and of our Wreck by Karibo Garage Build Show. So the premise is we buy a wrecked motorcycle, we kind of save it from going to a salvage yard, which is where it would go, and we basically just, with our Patreon support, we fix it back up, make it run better than it's ever ran before, put a ridiculous amount of mods into it, and then we give it back to the Patreon people that help support it. So the longer episodes that go on Patreon are, the only thing people are missing is all the like in-depth knowledge you get from a technician on how to do stuff. Yeah. So the YouTube edits that we put out, basically it's modified for YouTube. You know, YouTube, like people have a lot of stuff going on. They're not going to sit and watch. I mean, the episode we put out on Tuesday was an hour and 15 minutes long. Yeah. It is nothing but knowledge on how to tear down a CBR 600. You learn a ton of stuff. So the way we look at it internally is the educational stuff is on Patreon, and then on YouTube we put out you can follow the build that way. You know what levers we're putting on it. You know that we're taking the engine out. You know what color we're painting the frame. So that's kind of internally, that's the way we look at the difference. If you want to really learn a lot of stuff, that's over on Patreon. Obviously you get to win the motorcycle as well. That's a huge thing. But that's kind of internally, that's how we look at it.
Cool. Now, the premise I do on the podcast here is obviously I've got loads of questions for you, and we could just fire straight in with what we said already. But I don't want to cover anything that might have been covered or asked in some of the questions.
Absolutely.
So I chuck out on my social media and say, right, next week's guest is Bosch, and then people submit the questions. Normally I don't read them, but the response, as you'd imagine, has been pretty damn impressive for you. So awesome. I've gone through a lot of them to just to sort of get an idea as to what people are asking, the duplicates, all that sort of stuff. We've covered a little bit about we've covered a few bits of what people have asked, but we can dive deeper into that later on. Right.
Don't worry, I talk a lot, so you're solid.
Me too. This could go on for a long... How long have you got, by the way? How long have you got free?
I have until 11 my time. So I've got about... It's 8:48 here. So I can go until 11 or until that camera fills up, which is 210 minutes. Cool. So either one of those.
Right. Awesome. Right, no problem. Normally these crack on for like 2 hours, 2 and a bit hours. So
gotcha.
we'll try and be concise. Normally there's a lot of beer involved in these because they're generally filmed in the evening. So
bro, I'm ready. Look at this. I got a sparkly water. It ain't beer. I got coffee since it's 8:30 in the morning.
Yeah, I know, it's like 8:30 a.m. isn't it?
I also don't drink beer, sad to say. Now, if we were filming this at 8:30 at night, I would probably have a glass of bourbon. That would be acceptable. All right, hold on. I've watched a couple of these, and this sound is very important. All right, are we doing this simultaneously? How are we doing this?
Yeah, let's do it. Well, look what I've got. I just thought Iron Brew. You heard of Iron Brew?
Yes, I love it. Consistency, my man. All right, 3, 2, 1.
Oh
yes, audio.
Yes.
Cheers to talking.
Cheers.
Oh, wow, that's a lot of sparkly water. All right, back to coffee. Holy shit. The bubbles, stuff. When you go from coffee to bubbly stuff, it's like, whoa, your body's not ready for it. Okay. I'm going to continue to caffeinate myself, so I will probably talk more as we go. So be ready for it. I don't think you
Talking's good on a podcast. It's always handy.
Not used to that. I'm used to YouTube is like, stop talking, Chase. You're talking too much. You need to shut up and just get to the damn point.
Yeah, I'm the same. We call it waffling here. Do you call it waffling in the States?
I'm going to start calling it waffling. You can bet your ass that.
Waffling basically just means, just talking shit. Talking too much.
I cannot wait. The next first ride I go record, I'm going to be like, all right, I got to stop waffling. And I got to get to the thing. And then I'm probably going to laugh for 15 minutes.
Right. Why don't we crack on with the questions, and we'll go from there. We'll see. We'll end up in the old rabbit warren and see how we get on. So, as usual, folks, we're going to head to the clan over on Patreon, Scottish clan. I get a lot of comments from the American people saying, "Clan, oh my God, what is this?" No, it's a Scottish thing, clan.
Right. Yes, that you have everything like synced up, man. You got the Scottish thing with the clan, you got the beard that matches. Nah, do you, boo? Do you?
I've been working on this for a while.
Good man.
Right, so over on Patreon, first one we got here is Jack Glassy. Chase,
that's a strong name.
It's not a bad one, eh?
Right.
What was the most challenging bike you've ever rebuilt, and what was the most rewarding?
Interesting, because those are two different bikes for sure.
Oh, are they? Right?
Yeah, because, at the end of the day, we're making content for people to consume. Yeah. And then the things that are as the most rewarding are not always the most biggest and flashiest thing. So honestly, the coolest, nicest bike we've done is probably the Ducati that we just got finished with season 4. We have never put that much money into a bike, but I mean, it's also a Ducati, so everything's going to be plus Ducati tax. But that bike was stunning. It's still in the garage. I have to push all the bikes out of the garage. It's like a motorcycle dealership here, I swear to God. Like, I come out here to film, and we're doing the 3 CBRs this season, so we've got 3 of those bikes. I've got 2 bikes from Yamaha, so it's like, all right, all the bikes go out. I have a space again. Okay, all the bikes can come back in at the end of the night. But anyway, the Ducati is probably the best looking bike we've done, at least to me personally. The most rewarding bike was probably season 3's Bobber, because the Bobber's not really my style of bike. I think it looked cool. I like the way it looked and everything. I don't see myself on a Bobber right now, but the amount of stuff, instead of putting a lot of money into that bike, which we did, we had to do a lot of stuff with our hands. You know what I mean? Like, we had to cut the frame off and like grind stuff down, and we had to buy a welder to do stuff. So, I think as far as like learning how to do shit, I learned way more stuff on the Bobber, because a super sport is a super sport. They're all going to have an engine, a frame, a subframe, a swing arm. They're all going to have essentially the same parts. So you kind of you don't end up doing the same thing, especially when you do a Panigale without a frame. So that was fun, but. The Bobber, we had to do a lot of stuff with our hands, so it was a lot of grinding, a lot of cutting, a lot of welding, and there's a certain satisfaction you get, as a guy who's building something, when you look at it and you're like, you know what? I literally went to Home Depot, which is a local home improvement store, got a piece of metal, drilled a hole in it, grinded it curved so it looked good, painted it black, and used it as a ignition bracket. You just so just that's one example, but like that whole bike is just hundreds of examples of that. It's just
you're physically building that. It's not a case of you're buying a part and bolting it onto the bike. You're building a bike. Right,
exactly. So I think that was probably the most satisfying bike, because it was like, hard work and cuts and bruises and burns, and that's all inside of that motorcycle. But yeah, at the end of the day, would I want it? Like, not really. Like, it was an awesome bike. I love doing photos of it afterwards. I love doing the first ride and seeing what that was like. And I was like, okay, I feel cool as shit riding this, but I don't want to ride this. Like, I wouldn't want to ride that on the daily. So
would you know?
Say what?
You wouldn't. You wouldn't.
I mean,
you don't. For the Bobber style.
Here's the thing. The naked bikes for me right now are it. Like, I've got this MT10 that I will not give back to Yamaha. I swear to God. But you kind of come in and out of different riding styles. I've been riding for 10 years now. So, I went through my entry level phase. I went through my less than legal phase. And I'm not totally legal now, but, it's just, you start enjoying different things. So the fact that I'm kind of in a point right now where I want to ride a bike that I can be relatively comfortable on and still have enough power to do stupid stuff.
Absolutely. So I feel that's exactly where I'm at.
Yeah. So the Bobber's just not that. It sounds mean, on the decel. It's like rah, 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 and it's not. It's a whale to turn. Yeah. But I got to tell you, man, if I owned that motorcycle, I would ride around all the time, just be like, oh yeah, I'm the coolest dude ever. But would I like ride it up to the mountains and stuff? Hell no, absolutely not. I would ride it like once a month just to like show off or something like that. You know, it wouldn't get good time.
I've just started doing reviews of Harleys. I'd never ever ridden a Harley before, and there's a guy I know who'd been following the channel, and I do because of the round the world trip. I do some like adventure shows and stuff and talks at different bike events. And he came along to one at one of the exhibition centres. We got chatting. He was like, "Man, you've got to try a Harley." He custom builds Harleys, so he's like, "You've got to come and do one." So he works at a local Harley dealership down here in Guildford, and he managed eventually, after about nearly 3 years, he managed to get me out in a Harley. Nice. And I tell you what, man, I'm the same as you. I don't think I would buy one, but I get it. I'd get it. I get why people do.
Interesting. So one of the guys on my team is like, you really need to like Harleys, and I'm kind of salty on Harleys because. Probably because I'm petty, but I went into a dealership one time just to do a test ride, and I wanted to talk to the guy because, you know, I work with a dealership here in the U.S., Mountain Motorsports. They're who I do all my first rides through. So I was like, okay, well, Mountain doesn't have BMWs, they don't have Husky, they don't have Aprilia, and they don't have Harley, obviously. So I was like, well, I'll hook up with a Harley dealership because I know I have a certain preference of bikes that I like, but I also I kind of feel obligated to the motorcycling YouTube community because I'm like, I'm not just going to do super sports, or I'm not just going to do naked bikes. I want to do the gamut so I can, for one as a rider, I feel like it's important for us as riders to like try everything. You have no clue what you like. Like I rode a Goldwing yesterday, and bro, it was fucking great. So it is what it is. So I think it's important to ride different things. But I went into this Harley dealership. My friend says that it was just a bad Harley dealership. But I went in and I got a similar feeling from that dealership that I got from going into a Ducati dealership here in Atlanta one time. I walked in. I'm this young dude. You know, I'm not their target demographic, which is one of the reasons they're in so much trouble right now. But, you know, I walk in. Nobody gave a shit about me at all. I think I had an invisibility cloak. And then so I go up to somebody and I'm like, "Hey, I would like to do a test ride on a one of your machines or something like that." And there was just this mentality of like, "You want to do what?" No, you can't. And I'm like, because there was a mountain across the street, and I was like, "Oh, I do like the YouTube reviews." This is like 5 years ago, so it wasn't like recent. It was like 5 years ago, and I was like, "Well, I go over to Mountain Motorsports a lot, and I do a lot of test rides, so I was kind of hoping to talk to your marketing guy or somebody that can control that because I can give you guys a lot of exposure about your bikes. I can do the reviews, and then y'all's dealership is where I'm riding the bike from. You know, it drives a lot of traffic." I don't think he could have cared any less about the conversation. And it wasn't about like, I'm a YouTuber, I should be treated special. I was like, no, I'm a potential customer, and you should treat me with like some level of dignity. So that happened, and since that day, I'm like, you know what? Fuck you, fuck Harley. I don't want nothing to do with y'all. I'm gonna just go do my thing. So that put a bad taste in my mouth for Harleys, and I haven't gotten back. But my buddies are pushing me. It's crazy, hard. Isn't it? How you're saying that's 5 years ago. Do you think that'll be any different now? Because here in the UK, the bike industry has definitely grabbed, in the last couple of years, it's definitely grabbed hold of social media. Whereas before, you kind of got that response. They were like, "Bro, they are actively looking for us." Interesting. So I've noticed here in the US, it's probably been the last year that some motorcycle stuff actually gives any shits. It was like very low, which makes our job hard because it's like all I need is a contact so we can figure out how to do stuff, you know. And like I want companies to do better by working with me. I don't want I'm not trying to be like, I want to be treated special and I think you guys should just treat me like a king or something like that. It's like I want everybody to gain from it because I want like mutually beneficial relationships with companies. And it was hard going for a while. Triumph was the first one that reached out to work with me, and we did a couple loaner bikes. Right, yeah. Dude. Triumph was the last company I would have thought to reach out.
Yeah, they're mass. Obviously, they're a British company, but they I would say they were probably, and probably still are, the most prominent one for embracing social media.
I was. UK, yeah. Well, it's also probably because they're a smaller company as compared to big four guys. And so when they reached out, I was like, oh, snap, we're talking about OEMs now. This is interesting. Because gear's a lot easier, right? Gear's cheap. Like Revzilla can send out a glove and it doesn't cost them that much. Whereas if Yamaha's going to let you loan a bike, you're talking about a $10,000 motorcycle that's going to be in your possession for a little while. So I do recognize, you got to have a lot of faith in it. But just here recently, I feel like the motorcycling community, as far as companies go, is starting to be like, yeah, we should probably give a shit about the whole videos online thing, which is cool. And then Yamaha reaches out, and Yamaha's been super awesome. Hands off, dude. It's just to give you guys a little insider how it is. My guy at Yamaha shoots me a text. He's like, hey, I have an MT-03 now that I picked up the other day. He texts me and he was like, hey, we got our press fleet of MT-03s in. Are you interested? And I was like, yeah, I'm still going to hold on to this MT-10, but yeah, I'm definitely interested. I roll up there, I sign a little contract of who's going to take the bike out. And I don't hear from them at all. It's just make the content you want. There's no like, I promise to make good videos for Yamaha and I will make this much content. It is literally here's the keys, and if you want to do some stuff, that's awesome.
That's kind of how it is here. I do quite a bit with KTM, and they're similar. They just same thing. Sign the sheet to say you've got the bike, right? And that's it. This is the date it's coming back, and they leave it to you. I think they just trust you to do your content on YouTube, on social media, all that sort of stuff. It's an awesome.
It's a perfect relationship because if I've had not motorcycle dealerships or companies, but I've had like gear people reach out and they're like, we're gonna send you this thing, but you can't talk bad about it. And I'm like, well, you're not going to send me that thing because like my honesty and my reputation is worth far more than this piece of gear you're going to send over. So that's one of the nice things and surprising things I recognized from Yamaha and it was just like, do what you want, man. You're obviously to this point for a reason. We're going to trust that and and be honest with it.
Cool. I've not made any contact with Yamaha in the UK yet, actually. I don't even have a contact with them. But some of the others are all starting to come through now. Obviously, with the whole COVID thing, it
throws a wrench in everything.
Put the Bosch on it for the time, but it's all coming back online now, which is great.
Right.
Getting busy.
Right. Let's keep it going.
Oh, mate, keep it busy. I know. It's nervous times for a while, wasn't it?
I know. I was like, because I had a few, almost all sponsorships drop out and be like, we're going to reschedule for later in the years. And I was like, okay, fair enough. I can't argue with that. I would do the same thing.
I had literally left my old job. I used to be a police officer in London. Oh. Yeah. And I left that a week before the whole COVID thing happened. Well, before it became official in the UK, like the lockdown happened and everyone was buff. So literally I had been self-employed for a week and then all my sponsors pulled. I do a lot of bike tours. I take people away to Spain and around Europe on the bikes. They were all gone and it's just like, shit.
Oh no. Well, that's good then, because if you when you take that step off, when you like going full self-employed and you get that drop that like your gut falls and you're like, oh my God. And you got to start like figuring it out. Yeah. I find that that's actually helpful because that puts you like, that gets you ready for the tough times you'll eventually have. Because if you'd have just left your job and gone into self-employment and everything was like rainbows and sunshine, and then COVID-19 happened in the middle of the time, if you didn't have your shit running right, your business is going to go under. If you're not running right. So it's probably, I bet you'll probably see in a couple years, like looking back, you're like, you know what, I'm kind of glad it started out. I got a gut check, and now I'm moving forward with that.
definitely. Here's hoping. Yeah, definitely. Right, next question. Jeez, that was about half an hour for the first question. This is going to take a bit of time, man.
Wait, was the first question which motorcycle?
It was, yeah. What was your most challenging bike, and what was the most rewarding?
I told you. I tried to tell you. This is not a joke. You probably got 3 questions.
Man, me and you together, this is going to take ages.
Hey, we should start a podcast where we only answer one question, and that's all. And then, hey, on this podcast, we're going to answer this one question. We'll see you in 4 hours.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
I love it.
Right, next one. David Hemmings. To both of you, what was your inspirations to start your channels? And if you could have done the channels differently, what would you have done? Nice one.
Interesting. Yeah. Would you like to go first, or would you like me to ramble on for hours?
Right, I'll crack on. I'll get mine done.
Okay.
My inspiration was people that follow my channel are going to be like, oh God, he's got to mention it every single podcast. I rode around the world. So I taught myself video editing when I got to the Nürburgring in Germany, because I thought, maybe I should video this. So
yeah, absolutely. Are you kidding me?
So I sort of started the channel and got it up and running from then. And I sort of covered my whole round the world trip, which is about 1.5 years, and then I didn't do anything for quite a few years, sort of from about middle of 2014 towards the end of 2016. I don't think I published a video. I thought, well, my trip's done. That's it.
Right.
Nothing there. But I missed the interaction. The interaction with people that you get through it, and I was struggling to cope with being home after being away, and so I just started doing vids again end of 2016, and it's sort of gone from there, really. What would I do differently? I wish I'd learned more about the art of videography, lighting, sound. I wish I'd learned more about that and editing before I did my trip, because I would love to do that trip with the sort of basic knowledge I have now compared to what I had then.
Right. Oh my gosh. That sounds so crazy. I don't even know what goes into, like, how does that even planning of, like, you know what? We live on a planet that's a circle. I'm going to go around the circle. Like,
pretty much.
How much time does that take to realistically do that?
I spent 3 years planning, but no way would I, like, honestly, if I had the money, and like I'm married now, if I had the freedom and the financial freedom and the social freedom to do a trip again, I would leave. Once we finished talking, I would pack my credit card, my phone, my passport, I'd get on the bike and I'd go. That would literally be it. Because you don't need. You can just go. Yeah. The rest of the stuff you can figure out along the way. Certain visas can be a pain in the ass, but there's workarounds. You can sort that out.
Interesting.
If you want to do it, you can do it.
Yeah, I don't think I would be like. I don't think it would be feasible to do around the world, but I have had in my head of, like, at least across the country or something like that. Just some sort of, like, really long term ride thing, which is, it's kind of cool. And when you have this, like, social media situation, like, as long as you can find internet and you have your laptop on you, you can continue to run your business.
Absolutely.
While doing it. So there's not that situation of, like, all right, well, I need to save up because no money's going to come in because I can't work because I'm going to be traveling. Yeah. You just work and travel through that process. So
absolutely,
the across the country thing, that's why I'm interested in around the world, because obviously that's a whole different level, but across the country would still have a lot of the aspects of, like, long distance riding, multiple days away from home and stuff like that. That's very interesting. That's impressive as shit to go around the world, though. I would feel so much anxiety just being the person that I am, of, like, I always feel like any situation I'm in, I have to do my best to capture it as good as I can, like, to the best of my ability. So, like, if I was planning an around the world thing, I'd be like, shit, how many cameras do I need? I need at least 5 GoPros because I'm gonna fuck one up at least. So, like, like, I would go into, like, I would be the guy that had half my motorcycle would just be giant packs of camera gear, and then I'd have this little bag with, like, I got 3 underwears and, like, 2 pairs of socks. I'll be fine. I'll buy.
That's exactly what I had. I had 3 pair. Well, by the end of the trip, I think I started with 4 pairs of pants, 4 pairs of socks, 4 t-shirts, a pair of trousers that zip into shorts. Some we call them flip flops. What do you call them? Do you call them
Sandals?
flip flops?
Sandals, flip flops.
Yeah. And a fleece. And that was basically by the end of the trip. I think I was down to 2 pairs of pants, 2 pairs of socks, a couple of t-shirts. That was it. That's all it took.
That is insane. All right, so we'll move on because I will literally talk to you for the rest of the time about the world thing. That's a super cool way to start a channel, though. Like, Jesus Christ.
Well, it's the weird thing is I had 600 subscribers by the end of the trip, and I thought that was amazing. I was over the moon with that, and that was it. I think I had like 4,000 people following on Facebook, 600 subs on YouTube. There's like 18 episodes, like half-hour episode or 20-minute episodes covering the whole trip on the channel.
Dude,
but again, I used copyright music. I didn't know about copyright free, so I don't make a penny out of any of those vids. Like,
damn. Have you ever thought about going back and taking all your footage and like remastering it to be able to like publish it as it's a brand new, like using, I don't know what music platform you use, but I use Epidemic Sound. Like, have you ever thought of like remastering the whole thing? You now have all the content, so you can like put it in chapters and just like kind of re-release it out. Have you ever thought about that?
I have. It's the 10-year anniversary of when I started on the 1st of October 22, and it's the anniversary of when I finished on, when was it? Something like middle of June or middle of July 24 will be the 10-year anniversary. So I'm thinking I'll either do one for the start or one for the end. One of those dates I'll pick, and I'll probably do that. I'll do a re-edit.
Interesting. Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be a cool thing to. I don't know how the process would look, but if you could like pitch that to a company, that'd be cool. And then like make some cash off of it, so you can like plan more stuff like that. That'd be cool.
Oh, there's bits like, and I only did like a quarter of Africa because I had massive. So people that watch this all the time are going to be like, oh God, he's talking about his trip again. I had big problems in one place in Africa, one country in Africa, so I ended up having to cut the trip short and head back to the UK for a bit. But I would love to go back and finish Africa. I didn't get to Ushuaia, right at the very bottom of South America, so I'd love to go back and do that. I didn't get to Dead Horse at the top of Alaska, so I want to tie them up because I ran out of time and money, so I only I landed in Chile from Australia and then just rode north basically from Chile and did the States and bits of Canada. But I would love to.
Dude, side note, if I rode around the world, you can bet your ass I would say that every day to every person I know. It would be like, hey, I hate to beat a dead horse, but I'm about to beat the shit out of this dead horse right now. I would be so proud of myself for that. It'd be like, you don't know. I did something that so few people have ever done. Yeah, so you should not feel bad about that at all.
Back to you. Come on, what is your inspiration to start the channel?
Mine was pretty simple. I'm kind of like you. I didn't know video editing. I went to school for video game design, like environmental design. So I had never driven a manual car. I had never driven a motorcycle. I had ridden a bicycle. That was as close as I had ever gotten. And I was in college. I had just broken up with a girlfriend, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Now's the time. I'm doing it. Didn't have a job at the time, because I was just going to school full time, and I was like, whatever. I got this stupid little restaurant job, and I saved every single dime other than taxes for a motorcycle. And by the time I got it, I was like, I don't know any of this. So this is going to be a really interesting situation. Here's what I'll do. I'll record what happens so that I can look back at myself and laugh at how terrible I was. Right. At the time, GoPros weren't a thing. Like, GoPro wasn't a company yet. So there's like More Death 13 and literally a handful, probably like 5 or 6 other people on this YouTube website that were recording them riding around. And I was like, okay, so somebody else does this, so this is possible. Start looking into it. I buy this stupid little Vado HD. It's about 4 times as thick as my phone, and it's about as tall. It has a lens right here, and it had a USB plug that would just go like boop, and you could plug it in, and that's how you would get the video off of it. So back in the day, before we had cool high definition GoPros, I had to stuff this Vado HD in between my nose, which my nose is all crooked and shit. I joke that the Vado HD had to go into my helmet and push my nose to the side, and that's why my nose is crooked. But the cool thing is, it was inside of your helmet. The microphone was obviously part of the camera, and if you did that, you could actually get decent footage without going through a lot of headaches with lapel mics and wind muffs and all this kind of shit. So I did that, started recording it, and the videos are terrible. They're so bad. It will probably make you nauseous if you watch them. Also, I realized I was a very, very angry 20-something. So it's interesting to look back on the first channel I started. But I started recording because I wanted to, kind of document this fun process of like starting riding motorcycles. And it became the thing. I would go to school, get out of class, go to work, get out of work, come home, and instead of just watching Netflix, watching anything, whatever, I would just I would take my little video, because at that time I didn't have time to go out and ride. I would just vlog on the way to work, on the way to school, on the way back, and I would just talk to myself, which clearly I'm okay with. But I did that for a long time, and it just kept it just became my hobby thing. I would just do this when, I'm going in between. This is my thing I do on my spare time. Yeah. And then lo and behold, that motorcycling community just started slowly growing, and there just wasn't a lot of us doing it, So you get friends online, which was weird at the time. It's like, I've got friends all over the world. Never met them in person, but we all ride motorcycles and talk to ourselves, so it's cool. And I did that, and then graduated college, got a job at an architecture firm, was still doing my little thing, and then I got another job at Cartoon Network doing producing, and I got I'm doing YouTube the entire time. That still is my just thing, and you get better at stuff that you care about. So I got to the point, I was at Cartoon Network, and which is a phenomenal job, really enjoyed it. And my contract was getting to an end where I was like, okay, do you want to re-up? Do you want to change positions, or do you want to just say deuces? And I was watching my YouTube account, and I'm like, all right, so my YouTube revenue barely, I mean by $10, gets my bills paid. And I'm like, I've been doing this for 4 years now, and it's all side stuff. I haven't been pushing it that hard. If I do this full time, I bet I can make more than this. So it was that I left a super cushy, super established company job with a 401k, all the health plan, all the bullshit you get, and I was like, all right, let's do this thing. Let's see what happens. And that was
jump in,
so that was 5 or 6 years ago, I think. And it's been rocket ship since then. It's establishing that first ride series, and doing it to the best of my ability, and then all the review stuff. And along the way, I teach myself about cameras, I teach myself about editing. Haven't done any classes on any of that stuff, but I think I just kind of discovered, kind of like you, I discovered that I really like the whole editing process. I like the filming process far more. But you this love of this thing grows to be I can ride motorcycles that I love doing, and I can have a really good time filming it and lighting the videos and getting good audio and watching it all come together in an edit. It just kind of took over. And then it was, and now we're here, it's all right, every day it's all right, how are we going to make YouTube content? What's the market need right now?
Yeah. Do you find yourself almost having to pinch yourself sometimes just to think, this is my job? The last couple of weeks, folk have got in touch and said, right, how do you fancy going away to do this? And friends of mine, we'll go and do this, we'll go and do that. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. I check the diary, and I'm like, okay, that day I'm doing this day I'm doing that day doing this. And by the time I've rattled it all off, my friends are like, "You're living the dream, man. That's your job. Do you realise that's your job?" And then I'm like, Jesus, yeah, you're right, actually.
No,
like,
yeah,
wow,
it's
all
so,
of a sudden it's happened.
Yeah, so really absorb everything you have right now, because that's I feel like you're in a time where you can appreciate it the most, because I love everything I do, but you get so deep. You have so many conversations all concurrently happening on your email. You know what I mean? Like at any time, there is 40 to 50 active conversations that have an end thing. Like either it's a video or the product has to get here. Like there's so much management towards the upper end that you have to physically be like, hey man, you really enjoy this, right? Like a lot of that stuff starts weighing you down. The bigger you get. So I'm currently managing that, but yeah, on the weekends, I have a super strict work schedule. I get off at 6 p.m. every single day. You can ask every guy here, because what happens is I'll film and edit until I pass out. You know, I'm very like work. I put my head down and I just do it. So, you know, when you've got 15 videos in the queue that people and companies and sponsors are waiting for, it gets like overwhelming. So you're like, okay, the more I can work, the more I can get done. So in order to have a successful relationship with my wife, it's like, all right, look, I can get up whenever I want, but I'm getting off at 6 o'clock every single day. All my guys here, you can ask them. It's like when 6 o'clock comes, Chase's phone gets thrown somewhere where he can't get to it. Everybody leaves the garage and that's it. And then I don't work on the weekends. Like, I got to the point where I would just work all the time. I would work endlessly.
That's
it
what
would
I'm
be
doing
like,
at the moment.
Yeah, my wife would have to be like, so am I going to see you today? I work out of the house. And for my wife to have to be like, so are we going to hang out at all today? And I'd be like, I gotta finish this edit. It's got to go out, you know? Yeah. So I got to the point I was like, you know what? My relationship with my wife is far more important than anything that I do. So it's going to, like, let's put hard stops. And it has to be a hard stop. It can't be like, I'll get off at 6:15 today. I'll get off at 8 o'clock today. Now, the beauty of that is if there's a sponsored video, I don't know if you've done sponsored video, but like you got a set date where that video has to come out. You know what I mean? Yeah. You've signed a contract that says, we'll do this, you do this, this video has to come out then. If it's a date timeline that's locked in like that, very understandable. It's like, hey babe, I got to work till like 9:30 tonight to get this video done so we can go out in the morning. So stuff like that happens. We're not perfect, but for 90% of the time, hard stops on work. Highly recommend.
Definitely something I need to do. I'm like, you know, I'm editing till 2 a.m. Then you get up the next day, sort of 7, 8 a.m, and then before I know it, it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm like, I've not even washed, I've not eaten, believe it or not.
It's dangerous, man. Yeah, it's dangerous because you enjoy, like, everything is fun. You know what I mean? And like, there's no boss breathing down your neck. Like, I have to do this stuff. It's like, and there's also the creative process of having that, like, I made that, you know what I mean? So I had this idea, I went out and shot it, I edited the video, and now there's this thing that people can enjoy. And it was literally this little thought in my head, and now it's a real life thing. That is intoxicating. Yeah, so massively. Like, you can edit all night long, and you're like, what happened? What time is it?
Yeah.
Oh shit! It is far later than it needs to be.
Yeah, that's where I am at the moment. I need to adopt what you've done there. Yeah, definitely.
I'm going to try to give you everything I can that I've learned over the decade.
Yeah, please teach me.
Don't go down the rabbit hole. Don't go down the rabbit hole.
Right. Well, this is an interesting one. Next one, David Clockton. To both of you, if you won the lottery and became multi-millionaires, would you carry on or would you pack it all in?
Ooh, interesting. So this kind of goes back to the conversation we were having, right?
Yeah,
like, when I had to work my ass off, this is what it did. So now I just work my ass off doing what I want. I think the only difference that would happen over here, if I won the lottery, I would buy or build a track. and I would do all my videos at a track. And that way, when Yamaha's like, hey, we got an MT tent, I was like, cool, I'm going to send one of my guys to go pick that shit up, and we're going to test it here at the track. And I would do all my videos there. That's, honestly, I think that's the only thing that would change. Like, I enjoy doing product reviews. I enjoy doing bike reviews. I really enjoy doing bike reviews. And then we have an entire business building bikes. So like, what else would I want to do other than go around the world? That's not financially possible, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think I'm the same. You know, I'm literally living the dream. Financially, I'm at the moment, because I did make a bit of a leap of faith, really, but I'm just about treading water. So I need to earn a bit more to start, you know, being able to. It's things like, oh, I want to go and do this trip, I want to go do that trip, but you're like, can't afford the fuel and the food and the hotel to go to Austria for a week. You're like, I can't afford that. I can't justify it. So if I won the lottery, there would be a lot more trips. You know, I would go back, finish Africa. I would go and tie up the 2 points.
You would do a world tour. You would do a world tour V2 so fast. I can tell. Talking about like I got this little thing in Alaska, and then there's this thing down to South Africa. I was like, yeah, that's 100% what you would do.
People used to ask me. They said, so would you go again? Will you do it again? And I was like, well, I've done it. I've ticked that box. But as the time has gone on, the hunger to do it again has come back, and especially since lockdown, when you're just confined to your house.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Even if you could travel, you weren't allowed to, and now it's just like, fuck it, man, I need to hit the road. I just want to hit the road and go.
Interesting. So after you got done, you kind of had a moment of like, okay, cool, glad to have that done, but I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, absolutely. It was like, tick, that's that done, move on. Let's get on with life.
So when you did that, was it kind of like you go to one spot, then you come back, or did you just leave and not come back until you were done?
Yeah, I left. I left on the 1st of October 2012, and then, believe it or not, I ended up coming back to the UK after it went wrong in West Africa. So I came back beginning of December. I was only away for 6-7 weeks, I think, and I came back to the UK. I was back home, not sure what was going to happen, because I got robbed and kidnapped in Africa. So I got robbed a lot and then kidnapped at the end, and it was just a bit of a nightmare. So that's a bit of an exaggeration, but it wasn't good. So I ended up back in the UK for a bit, managed to pick up a part sponsor. This company said, we were following your trip, what's your plans? And I was like, I haven't got any money left. I sold everything I owned to do it. So I'm going to have to work overtime and get some money back. And they said, right, we'll put this amount on the table. Would you go? And it was like, well, I can get to Australia on that. Yeah, let's go. So I just went, and
that's amazing.
Yeah, it was basically before Patreon and everything was around. There was crowdfunding. So by the time I was working my way down through Indonesia, I was basically said to the following on Facebook. I said to folk, I think by the time I get to Australia, to Sydney, I'm going to be out of money, so that'll be the end of the trip. Hope you've really enjoyed it. And people just started saying, no, you got to keep going. And they were like PayPaling me money to put fuel in the tank. And basically within 2 weeks, mate, it was stunning. Within about 2 weeks, people had... Because I always said I was going to... Sorry if you've heard this before, folks. I was always going to write the book, and I was always going to do a DVD, and I was going to... I was doing the trip for charity. So I was like, well, I'm going to do a book and a DVD to try and raise some money for the charities. So you can pre-order that now. I can't tell you when the book will be ready, and I can't tell you when the DVD will be ready, but you can pre-order it, and we'll go. So the sales of all that, and some T-shirts, and people just putting fuel money aside, basically got me from Australia all the way up through South Central, the States, Canada, and back home to the UK. So, it's phenomenal. God. But then, once you're home, you're like... Shit, I've now got to pay to get the book published. I've got to pay to produce
reality
the DVD.
Sets in, yeah.
Oh man. So it was like another 2 years to work and save and get all that together, and then I had it done. Yeah.
Wow. That is so freak. That is like next level for me, dude. I can't even fathom that.
Changed my life. Completely changed my life. Absolutely. Loved it.
How much
do it?
Yeah, right. If I can, I will. How much writing experience did you have before you took that on?
None. I mean, as a police officer, like I wrote reports. That's it. So I'd never done.
So you were
anything.
like, all right, I'm gonna try this whole motorcycle thing, and then I'm gonna go.
I'm gonna film it, and I'm gonna write a book.
Cheers to you, sir. Holy
like,
shit.
Well, if I can do it, anyone can do it. So yeah.
That's inspiring as shit. That needs to be on Netflix. No, your world tour #2 needs to be on Netflix. I will watch the shit out of that.
Well, if you've got any contact, have a word.
I wish I did. Trust. I would have some sort of show on Netflix if I had a contact there. I can promise you that.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got like 1 million subscribers now. Congratulations, by the way. That's phenomenal.
I appreciate that. I have it's an interesting strategy that has got me to 1 million subscribers.
Well, you have to tell me off air. God, yeah, that's impressive, man. I've got a real appreciation as to the effort that takes. So, wow.
Well, like here's the secret. There's no real big like, oh, this will get you to 1 million, but if you notice, a lot of channels will kind of just make content until they find something that works, and then they do that a lot, right? Yeah. So I don't have the brain to do that because I would get bored with it and I'd stop doing it. Because I've realized that with first rides. If you notice, my first rides get an exaggerated amount more views than the rest of my content. Yeah. So one thing that I've kind of deduced from watching the channel grow over the years that it has is, yes, my Chase on 2O's YouTube channel has 1 million blah, 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 blah subscribers. But my channel runs like a television network channel to where I have a first ride show. I have a wreck bike rebuild show. I have a review show. We just started this new series called Here's Why. So the way I look at it is I have 1 million subscribers, but those 1 million subscribers are all people that are, a lot of them are for first rides. Some of them are for Wreck Bike Rebuild Garage. Yeah. Some of them are for Here's Why. So I have a lot of people for a lot of different shows that all, come together to be 1 million. But if you notice the negative of that, so if you want a high amount of subscribers, offer a ton of content because you're going to cast a bigger net to different people that are interested in more stuff. The downfall is that you have to watch your videos like, as a YouTuber, I'm sure you care, like when a video comes out, you care about how many views it gets, right? Yeah. So when you do that and you have a successful show and you have a show that's not, it's a more niche show. I'll put out a Wreck Bike Rebuild episode. It'll get 20,000 views. And I'm like, okay, cool. Put a first ride out, which is far easier to make than a Wreck Bike Rebuild. I know how many more days of work, I am not exaggerating, days of work it takes to make a Wreck Bike Rebuild episode from a first ride. Yeah. And the first ride will get 100,000 views, and I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. So you have to take the good with the bad. So if subscribers matter to you, that's what I would recommend. I would recommend doing lots of different consistent shows that you always do. That somebody can, if somebody subscribes to my channel for a first ride, and they see a first ride thumbnail, they know exactly what the video is going to be. They know Chase is going to start at a motorcycle dealership. There's going to be him riding a motorcycle for the first time, camera car, blah, blah, blah. If somebody subscribes for a Wreck Bike Rebuild Garage video, they know exactly what we're going to get. Dudes, like a group of guys working on motorcycles, trying to fix them and turn them into dream bikes. So be consistent and make lots of shows. Now, if you want a YouTube channel where you just have super good, consistent views, just do one show. Find that one show that it's a middle ground between what you really enjoy doing and what the audience enjoys, and just do the hell out of that show. Put all your time and energy into that. So if you kind of have to, it's like two things, like whichever one you want, that's the way to, in my opinion, that's how to do that.
Yeah, no, I've sort of got similar things to you in that I do the bike review stuff. So I'll do the first ride, and then if I have a bike for, say, a week or 2 weeks, I'll do a longer term, more in-depth review of it. So beginning and end, generally. I do a lot of tours as well. I take people away on tours and to Spain and parts of Europe. So I really enjoy the tour stuff, but it takes so long to edit it. because it's like a week long, so you have to split it into maybe even 5 or 7 episodes, and they take forever to edit, and they don't get anywhere near the views. They don't get anywhere near the views that the bike review stuff gets. And then I've got the podcasts as well now, which, although the views aren't particularly great, the viewer retention is amazing. It's like, half an hour, 45 minutes, your average viewer retention. Because those who want to watch, watch.
Right.
So they're watching a huge chunk of a video, which was just, normally it's like 3 or 4 minutes, isn't it, on a YouTube vid?
Right. So, well, one thing to think about when you have, like, one of the kind of business things you got to figure out if you go down that strategy of, kind of looking at your channel as a network of shows, I would recommend to break all the shows down into their own business. So every show has its own, like, income and outgoing, like what it's making, because it makes the entire business a lot easier to run. So, like, Wreck Bike Rebuild has an entirely different, like, structure. It costs different than what a First Ride costs. So my First Ride series is a self-sustaining show. It has money coming in on top of the ad revenue, and then it has money outgoing that I have to pay to make that show run. Wreck Bike Rebuild, totally different. I've got to pay my guys. I got to pay for parts. I got to pay for the motorcycle, legal, blah, blah, blah. We also got to give the damn bike away. So, we're going to be going to Texas in 2 weeks to give away the Panigale. So there's a lot of expenses with Wreck Bike Rebuild, but there's also more income because we got the Patreon thing. And then, my buddy Yummy R6 and I do the adventure series. I don't know if you've watched those, but it's a shit show of just two guys running around.
I just watched your sorry to interrupt. I just watched your Grom versus the Kawasaki. I just watched that in the parking lot.
Right. So that was like 2 years ago that we filmed that, but we're about to do another season. Oh yeah, that was in 2018 because we had all that content. And basically, for you guys that haven't seen it, it's my buddy and I get on supermotos, and the only objective is to adventure, which means go somewhere you have not gone before and see what happens. We spend half the episodes off the damn motorcycles and just being stupid, like dumb, because that's what happens. I'm sure you have one of those buddies where when you're around that buddy, your brain just drops and you just do stupid fun shit. Right. So
yeah, I've got a few of them. Yeah.
Right. So Yummy is that guy for me. When we hang out, we just, like, funny shit happens. So we do the adventure series, but he moved away, and then we couldn't really film. We kind of dropped it off. Like, we had all this content that we're now releasing. So we're releasing all the old stuff now in preparation of this new season. But I look at that as an entirely different show. So it's like, okay, we got to get some sponsors because we got to get all the gear and stuff like that to make that work. So coming back to what we were talking about, like, run all the shows as their own revenue streams and stuff like that. And that way you have this conglomerate doing, like, okay, that show runs independently by itself, because what you don't want to happen is you have a successful show, say your bike reviews that are getting, like, good reviews or good views. So let's say you start bringing on a lot of sponsors and stuff like that, and then you don't want that show to have to hold up another show that's not doing well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it makes it a lot easier on my end because, like, at least for me, I mean, because I can be like, okay, how successful is that being? If it's not making a lot of money, am I really enjoying doing it? Because then there's still value there. Value is not just $1. Value is like our Here's Why videos currently are not making the money that they take to make. But I enjoy the shit out of making those videos. Have you seen a Here's Why video yet? We did the first one is called Why the Grom is the best second motorcycle to have. Here's why. We've done a why dual sports are the best bikes to start on. Here's why. So that's kind of like the premise, but they are the highest production value videos we do. So obviously you probably understand the higher the production value, the higher it costs to make. But right now I have, I see them doing, like, I see that as a company being sustainable eventually, but we're only 2 episodes in. So I haven't really established that to the audience that, like, hey, when you guys see a Here's Why video, if the end of my title says Here's Why, here's what you're going to get.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I haven't taught my audience
Brand
that
association.
yet. Yeah, exactly. But I'm only 2 episodes in. You know, like they do take a long time to make, so we can't put one out every week. We're trying for that, but we're not there yet. But yeah, like every show should have its own like income stream that you manage that way. My recommendation. That's not how to do it. You don't have to do it that way.
No, it makes sense, man. It does make sense, absolutely. Right, Jason Robbins, what's the stupidest mistake you've made during Wreck Bike Rebuild, and did it make it to YouTube?
Whoa. There's a lot. Gosh, how do I decide that? I think that, so if we're going to say dumbest, it would probably be in season 1, and I was working on a Ducati Monster, and I had nobody there with me. And, if you don't know...
Is it the fuel tank? Is it the fuel tank?
No. It was a torque wrench, and if you don't know foot-pounds or inch-pounds...
Oh. No.
Yep.
You snapped it off.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Ooh. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't even remember if it made it to YouTube, but I just remember I had, in retrospect, right, it makes sense. But in the moment, you're filming it, you're not really thinking about it. I'm trying to host a show. I ain't trying to build a motorcycle. I'm trying to host a show. I have this giant torque wrench on this tiny little bolt, and I just broke the shit out of that thing, and I broke it. And after I did, I was like, what the hell? I looked up the spec for this. That should have been the right one, and it broke. Yeah, so that's torque wrench, foot-pounds versus inch-pounds, my guys.
Oh,
please be careful. Please be careful.
Nightmare.
Yeah,
right.
Don't make my mistakes.
Yeah, I'm sort of notorious for being mechanically inept, and I've done similar things. People go, "I'll just make it finger tight. It just needs to be finger tight. That's all. Just a little, like, quarter
What is
turn."
finger tight? What if you have strong fingers?
Yeah, you're like, I've got to be a bit more than that. Snap. You're like, oh, or you shred the bolt head, and you're like, oh man.
So something I've noticed that I've talked to Brian about is, obviously there's a level of knowledge that you could get, watching you could watch Wreck Bike Rebuild Garage, you could learn a ton of shit, but the magic, the key of it is time spent doing it, because like you're talking about, Brian he don't need a fucking torque wrench, bro. He just fucking does it, and he's like, yep, that's right there. That's where it's supposed to be. And I'm like, how the fuck do you know that? And he's like, you got to feel for it. He can just put his hand in things and do stuff. And I'm like, how do you know what that's supposed to feel like? But that only, it comes, he's been doing it for like 15 years or something. You have that feeling. You can't teach that. It's only when you're out doing the thing and torquing the bolts down and using grease here and not using grease there. Like, you just pick up all this stuff, and it's a feeling thing that really gets you to that, like, I'm really fucking good at what I do level. I don't know if I'll ever make it there. I might just have to accept the fact I got the camera thing down, and that's as good as I'll get. So
know what you're good at and stick to
it. Cheers to that, man.
Yes. Right, next one, Darren Phillips. To both of us, if you had the chance to ride your one dream bike on your dream road or route, which would they be and why? Ooh.
Interesting.
Dream bike.
I know. Dream bikes are harder the more information you have about the market. I will say that. Having rode so many bikes, I'm like, damn it, there are so many good bikes to ride in so many good places.
And it all depends where you're going to ride it, and what's the weather going to be like. And
honestly, if I was going to have to pick a dream bike and do a dream trip, if we're talking just dream stuff, because there's dream and then there's realistic dream. But I think I would just fully load a Pikes Peak Multistrada, and I would go World Tour, bro. World Tour Pikes Peak Multistrada. I did a first ride on a Ducati because we're talking about dreams, and in dreams you don't have to figure out the fucking details. I don't have to think about Well, what happens when this fucking thing breaks down and I have no idea what to do about it?
Like it. Yeah.
So
that multi-strada is pretty damn impressive, isn't it? What an engine. Beautiful.
So that was one of those bikes that I rode this. I was like, man, multi-stradas look cool. They look like a fucking pterodactyl. I love the look of it. It was a Pikes Peak, so it had all the livery looking good.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, this will be fun. And then I sat on it and I'm like, oh shit. Okay, I get it. And then I took the right turn out of the dealership. I made it 10 seconds before I'm like, holy fucking shit. This is incredible.
Yeah.
Just power wheeling, not trying. And I'm like, okay, it's a big bike. The downside will be that it doesn't maneuver around. Nope, you're fucking wrong. Just all over the place. I was, bro, if I had unlimited funds, that's the bike I would take around the world.
I took a group of lads away to the Pyrenees. It's a big mountain range between Spain and France. Sort of separates the two countries. Fantastic, beautiful riding roads. It's just epic. So I
see videos and I'm like, oh my God. I want so bad to go over there. Just anywhere over there. We have great roads here. Like, don't get me wrong. But you see all these videos in the Alps and shit, and I'm like, I don't know anything about anything I'm looking at right now, but it is fucking gorgeous. My God.
Man, it's nuts. Like, you want to concentrate on the road, but the scenery is so beautiful that
dude,
you're like,
I'd wreck so fast. I would wreck so fast.
Well, I took one of the lads that came away had a brand new Ducati Multistrada, but the GT, you know, the big Grand Tourer version, huge thing. So he came away, and I remember thinking to myself before we got the ferry to head down to Spain, I thought, that's a big ass bike, that, you know, that's going to be hard work in some of these twists and turns where we're going. And I tell you what, I've got it on my videos. I've got some footage where I waved a lot of the lads by because they were a fast group. So I was like, you know, we're on this road for 20 miles, just enjoy. And I've got footage of him going round the bend, and he's almost got his panniers down. Like, he's leant over like that so far. This thing is carving its way through the valley.
Yes.
The sound was just beautiful.
It is impressive as a motorcycle, man. It is not in my tax bracket, but bro, I wish.
All right, me, dream bike. Right, okay. Now,
Yeah,
I have a bit of a love affair with the GS, and I'm hated for it because it just does everything that I need at the moment. I did my world trip on a GSX-R 1000. I did the work. I always used to be a sports bike man. Yeah. I always used to be a Gixxer man. And then I found adventure bikes, and now I'll take the GS to the racetrack. I love it. It's great fun. But I get a lot of abuse off of people because I ride the GS. So I will not pick the GS on this one. Dream bike. Ooh, jeez. Do you know what? I just did a review on the new KTM Gen 3 Super Duke R.
How was that? I have not. They've got one up at Mountain, and I saw it when I went to do the Goldwing yesterday, and I'm like,
mate, that thing, I would say, for sheer shits and giggles, for the sheer grin factor, that is the best bike I've ever ridden in my life.
Fair enough.
Loved it. And I haven't told people I've just bought a new bike, and I haven't told anyone what I've got. So there's a lot of speculation as to what I've got. But that bike made me think, I'm missing out on something here.
Yep.
It's an impressive machine. So I think at the moment I would probably take the new Duke R. Dream Road. Ooh. God, there's so many good places to go. I love the sort of mountain roads, you know, like the Blue Ridge Mountains up north of you, Tail of the Dragon, all those roads.
Very familiar. Yes, absolutely.
Loved all that. I did some of that when I was on my trip. We've got the Picos, the Pyrenees, parts of Portugal, the Alps. Oh man, there's so many amazing places. Do you know Romania? If you ever get the opportunity to go to Romania, there's a stunning road there called the Transvagaristan Highway, which was built by the military in the 50s or 60s. It is stunning. What a road. It's immense. It's like take you 2.5 hours to do this mountain road. But there are so many other It's like the Blue Ridge Mountains. You know, everyone knows the Tail of the Dragon, but there's so many good roads all round about it, isn't there?
Dude, everybody says about the Tail of the Dragon, the joke is, don't go to the Tail of the Dragon. Drive to there and then drive back, and you don't get the tightness of those turns, but you get these giant sweeping roads that nobody is on. Yeah. And it's like, would you rather ride this famous road that everybody's on and you're going to be stuck behind slow people, or do you want these giant sweeping mountain views on these sweeping turns that are just smooth? You can you zone out, and because on your right, just mountains. On your left, beautiful forest. It's it's so good.
I'm not just saying that because you were on here, but that was truly special. All up around that area, you know, North, South Carolina, Georgia, and you got Tennessee, just all around there was just, I loved it. It's beautiful.
So when, I think I missed it, when are you going to bring this Duke to Georgia and let me show you good roads? When have we figured out a date for those things to happen?
Right. Let me have a little chat with KTM and see what we can do. We might be able to.
You have a chat with KTM, I'll have a chat with Yamaha, and we'll have a beautiful time.
Dude, you're on. You're on. Might not be able to make it happen this year, but I wanted to come over this year. That was my last year. My plan was to come over this year and try and do a week or two touring all around the States, and try and hook up with you if we could, and do a few other events and stuff. But I don't think it's going to happen this year. Next year,
I will keep you to it then.
Right, let's plan it.
Right, I'm here, man.
Right, we can maybe answer more of these questions because I don't think we're going to get through all these.
No, there's no way. I should have warned you. It's like, hey, you pick your top 4 and we'll try to get through those.
Right, Darren Phillips has another one. Oh, he says, thanks to Chase, I now have 2 Ruroc Atlas helmets, version 1 and the new 2, thanks to his videos. And he just wanted to thank you for making the vids, which made him invest in the helmets.
Heck yeah, I think I have a Ruroc behind me somewhere. I don't know. It's on this camera. It's over here. I thought I was going to be... Can you see it? It's all fancy and shit, rotating.
Where are we?
Hold on. Let me move this out of the way.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, nice. Now, have they sent you the email about the new designs, the top secret new designs that are coming out? I just got it this morning.
I am sworn to secrecy and can say nothing, but bro, holy shit, I'm so excited. I'm not going to be able to talk, so what's going to happen is I'll accidentally say something. So
let's end that there. But,
yep. Yeah, Ruroc has some cool stuff happening.
But they're loud, man. That's the only problem, is they're loud. But I love the styling of them.
So... Have you rode the 2.0 yet?
Yeah, I've got a 2.0.
Interesting. So are you used to quieter helmets then? Because I thought the 1.0 was pretty loud, but I think the 2.0 is much better. I haven't. Yeah. I will say I haven't rigged a 2.0 up to do like my first rides with. I don't have like a full helmet rig made of those, but I've got one made of the 1.0, and I think my audio quality on the highway is like relatively solid. I don't know if that's like I've got a good microphone in it or something, but I've been pretty happy with it. And from riding in the 2.0, it seems quieter than the 1.0, so I'm hoping for better audio quality. Because I was waiting for the carbon. I wanted to do a carbon first ride helmet, and those took a little longer. So I've been riding around 1.0 this whole time. Because they sent me the green one to do like the unboxing with, and then we customized it because it matched the Ducati that we made perfectly. And then I didn't want to ride around in a helmet that we were going to give away, so I haven't even got to ride around the 2.0s yet. I just been riding around my little 1.0 that has my setup on it. I know. Now I'm excited now because I've got the carbon. I've ridden around in it a couple of times. I'm like, I've been missing this for months. What the hell?
See, my normal lid, I've always bought shoeies. So I had the shoei Xspirit when I used to be on the sports bikes, and then when I moved on to the big tractor, I bought the shoei Hornet. You know, the peak on it.
Yes.
So and I just like the styling of it, because you're wearing a peak lid, you're on a tractor, but you're in race leathers, and going around the racetracks.
Dude, I had an Icon variant for years. I was all into that like peak game. Yeah,
the Icon stuff's mint. Looks really good. Love all that.
Right.
But the shoei is really quiet. So then I moved, when I got the Atlas 2 and I put it on, I just thought, wow, this, because I never used to wear earplugs, and I just thought, geez, this is loud when you're out on the road. So now I wear earplugs, and it's all right once you've got earplugs in.
Right, and totally agree.
I mic it all up and everything. It's my working lid, and the sound's fine, but it's just without earplugs, it is loud. So you just have to wear plugs. That's all.
Yeah. See, I guess that I have a X14 here that I did a review on, which is, I mean, it's a shoey. It's mint, right? It's glorious helmet. But I never rode in it a lot because, like, you get it when you have a work helmet, like, because we have that term now. We can talk about work helmets. Yeah. If you have a work helmet, you don't just throw that stuff in helmets willy-nilly. Like, when you spend the time to get everything working, you're like, okay, cool. I ain't riding in nothing with this. And, like, I mean, unfortunately, 85% of the riding I do mic'd up. You know what I mean? So there's not a ton of riding of, like, I'm just going to throw on whatever helmet I have here in the house and go for a ride with it. It's like, well, no, I'm going to go do a first try on a Goldwing. Need to have my mic'd up helmet and all that kind of stuff. So I think I just don't have a lot of experience with, like, I have experience with it, but not that, like, kind of long-term experience riding in a showy. So I don't have that feeling. I assume a showy is pretty quiet, maybe?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
okay.
comfortable.
So I don't.
Yeah, it's definitely a premier stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I was talking to Ruroc the other day, and I was like, I want to get you guys to showy level. Let's do this. Because like, I don't know about on your end, but those guys are receptive to information. Like, they'll actually have a conversation and be like, I mean, I can be totally honest. Like, look, here's the stuff I want you guys to really work on, because the opportunity with Ruroc is that it's a helmet company that is brand new to the market and actually cares about the market. You know, like, these guys are actually listening to things. Because, like, I can't ring Shoei up and be like, hey, could you guys make, like, a real cool red version of your helmet? They'll be like, who the fuck are you? We don't care about you.
They don't even acknowledge my emails. I get nothing from them.
But then, like, I literally had a Zoom call with Ruroc, like, 2 days ago. It was, like, 2 hours long. And I was like, hey, I'm working on my Atlas 2.0 review. And I was like, hey, here's the stuff I want you guys to update, because, like, we have an opportunity here that you guys are actually listening to people. You are going to benefit from that, because you're going to be able to make a helmet what everybody needs, type thing. And just having the open conversation is what I think is going to propel them to be top freaking level. And they're brand new. They reminded me that yesterday they've been on the market for a year. 1 year, we're on their Premier Helmet 2.0. There's cool shit coming, and they're constantly, like, one of the things to kind of, like, tease into the review is their visor now has a lot more clicks, but they don't have a little click, that kind of like mini click you want. So one of the things I was like, I was talking to them, and they were like, so we know your review's coming out, like, what are your negatives? And I was like, well, one of them is the visor. You got to have the mini click. If it's hot as shit outside, but I don't want bugs hitting me in the face, I need that mini click. They're like, cool, we got the designers working on it already.
So, like, beautiful.
Yeah. What else could you ask for in a helmet company that you want to represent? You know what I mean? It just, so much stuff makes sense with them.
I think that they were sort of a victim of their own success here in the UK, because when they launched the Atlas 2, when was that? End of Feb, March sometime they launched it.
Right.
The demand was so big that it caught them with the pants down, didn't it? Because loads of people ordered, and then some people still haven't received their helmets yet, and they're like, this is 3 months later, 4 months later, and
so part of that is that growing company. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's one of the pros and cons of growing a product company like that, and it just taking off, because it takes a ton of time to, like, set up lines of, like, transportation for your products and getting them tested and stuff like that. And the helmet realm is nuts, man. The amount of testing that they have. I mean, obviously, you're making a product that is going to save somebody's life. So it's not like, oh yeah, this pen is great, it writes good. If it doesn't write good, then you just get another pen. If you're making a helmet and your helmet's not good and somebody dies, you have a whole different ethical level to worry about. So, like, I can't imagine what a company like that takes to run. But yeah, you take off, you have a really good marketing strategy, and then it's like, oh shit, we need like 10x how many helmets that we currently have. Like, oh shit. But yeah, then COVID happens, and then like, get fucked. So
pretty much.
I don't want to have anything to do with product stuff like that. I want to make YouTube and digital content. That's it. I can publish it to the world. Don't have to have shipping lines figured out. Like, hell no.
Well, I think some of the questions, I had a quick look at some of the questions, and people do talk about the ride apparel and things like that. So that'll come up later on in the conversation.
Yeah, no problem.
If we got time.
If we got time.
Jeez,
might have to do a part 2.
That is, God, is that an hour and a half we've been chatting? Yeah, nearly an hour and a half.
Killing the game, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. Killing the game.
Question 4. Right. This one. This one's from a guy called Pete English, one of my Patreon supporters. Now, Pete has a reputation for some fairly obscure and very deep questions at times.
That's funny. I have a guy on my Patreon too that does the same shit. He is he is in the stratosphere somewhere.
It's brilliant.
Thinking about shit. Yeah, so I'm ready for this. I'm primed.
You think to yourself, what have you been smoking to come up with that question?
Yes, 100%.
Right, Pete. Question 1 for Chase. If you could install one piece of advice in a newborn baby's brain, what would it be?
A new piece of advice in a newborn baby's brain.
Yeah, one bit of advice for a newborn baby. Wow, Pete, you've done it again. Wow. What a question.
That's a good question. That's solid.
It is.
A piece of advice, so it's advice, so they don't necessarily have to listen to it, but it'll just be there.
Yeah.
I think, all right, so it's a baby, right? So it has to be there with them from the beginning to the end. So it needs to be really simple and to the point. And you don't like it. You need to have it something to where when the baby is older and it's still in their brain, they can think deeper into it. So I think I would just make it super simple and just there's a lot of stuff you can say. I think I would just say do good, and that I would leave it at that. Because then as a kid, you're like, all right, I'm supposed to do good. I'm supposed to do the right thing. But then when they get older, it's like, okay, do good. So I need to focus on how I can help and do good things in the world.
Yeah.
Because I think for right now, especially the world right now, we need a lot of do good.
Crazy, man.
And just,
crazy times.
Right. So I think I would just go super simple with it and just say do good. You know? Do good or be positive. I would do one of those. Do good or be positive. Yeah.
Mine would be, it's a little bit more complex for a newborn baby, but mine would be treat others the way you want your mum to be treated.
Ooh, got that twist on it. I like that. I like that a lot.
You just got to hope that they like their mum.
Fair point. Fair point. So you're playing a gamble here.
But as a newborn baby, they're going to love the mum unconditionally.
Oh, good point. Good point. So we are talking about a newborn baby. So automatically they're going to have that natural feeling of connection and mom for the. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Smart. I like it.
All right, that'll do. Right, question 2. Like this one. If your inner voice was an actual person, would you be friends?
No. Because he judges all my videos and he's fucking terrible. Like if you think YouTube comments are anything kind of bad, I trust you. I can look at YouTube comments and be like, is that all you have to say about my video? Bitch, give me 15 minutes and I'll tell you everything that's wrong with this thing. Yeah, we would not be friends. Actually, my inner voice would be my boss. That's what would happen.
All right, okay.
Absolutely. Well,
I think I definitely would be friends with my inner voice, but I think my inner person is much more open and not open. I think I'm quite an open person. I think my inner voice is maybe a bit more combative than I am. I try to be quite reasoned with a lot of things. You know, I'm just like, yeah, okay, you're entitled to your opinion. I think it's a policeman in me from my previous life where you're trying to handle situations and you don't want it to. We're a little bit different in the UK than maybe some police are over there.
I hope.
Yeah. But my inner one is just like, is that right? Bang, you know. So it's like your Jekyll and Hyde, isn't it? So my inner person, I think, would be a good laugh. Might be a nightmare to live with, but would be a good laugh to go out and have a beer with.
Right. My inner voice is hyper productive and mean as hell. So the filter that gets to my mouth
sounds like my wife.
Yeah, the filter that happens between here and here is strong. It's got levels of carbon and everything to get all the bad out. But hey, it's productive as shit though.
Yeah, definitely. That's the way to be. Good question, Pete. Like it. Keep them coming. Next one, Stuart Bailey. If you imagine something you have always aspired to or desperately wanted but could not have, would you prefer to continue in life always admiring and desiring that item, or to have the item and be desperately disappointed when it falls short of your expectations? Bloody hell.
Easy answer. Yeah, I would just want to stay wanting it. Because you remain... by wanting something, you have a built-in drive to get to that thing. Whether you get to that thing or something else, once you get to that level, you still have that drive to go and improve. Versus getting it and disappointed, like that's a all around negative. I don't want that.
No,
that's easy.
It's like when you meet a hero or something. I used to be before I started in the police, I was a bouncer in Glasgow in a nightclub, and we used to do a lot of concerts and things. So you'd get big worldwide bands would come and play there, and sometimes you'd meet these bands and they were just arseholes. You know, they were just dickheads, and you're like, ugh. I wish I'd never met you, because you
and keep them that positive.
Yeah, I agree with you with that. Yeah, so we'll just keep wanting it. That's the way to be.
Wanting is a powerful emotion, man. It gets some work done.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great motivator. Alan Bell, this is to both of us. If you could go back, you can tell I've trying to speed this up a little bit.
Right.
This is to both of you. If you could go back to talk to your younger self of 15 years old for just 1 minute, what would you say?
Oh shit! Interesting. See, this is that thing of like, do you want to tell yourself something? Like, looking back, it's been an interesting road, but I'm really happy to be where I am.
Yeah.
So my thing is like, if I said something to myself, do I fuck up the timeline?
Yeah.
And then
still
I'm something
back to
else.
the future thing, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if I say anything. I think I just remain silent, because I am super fucking grateful for everything I have right now, and I wouldn't want to mess that up, because we're talking 17 years back. If I'm talking to a 15-year-old me, shit, I don't know. I don't think I would say anything, because I wouldn't want to jeopardize what I have.
Yeah, I think I would just say, just be true to yourself. Just because I think I've always done what I've done in life for what I thought were the right reasons. I don't think I've ever done anything where I've thought I shouldn't do that, but I'm going to. I've always done it because I thought it was the right. I think someone will probably put a call. What about the time you did? Oh, okay, right. But I would just say, keep doing your thing. Just be true. Go.
Yeah, if I was forced to, if we were saying like you have to say something, I think I really love the motto of work hard, be positive. So I think I would just kind of like say that. It's about, hey man, just keep working hard, keep being positive. Things are going to figure themselves out. If I had to, I wouldn't tell the person who I am. I wear a mask or something so they don't get freaked out that they're looking at a guy that kind of looks like them. But yeah, I would, because I really hardcore believe in that kind of stuff. So that's probably what I would say.
Cool.
Maybe.
Right, next one. Dave. I'm a huge Chase on Two Wheels fan and love the Wreck Bike Rebuild series. Question 1. Can you talk us through the decision-making process around moving the WBR garage from YouTube? The positives, the negatives, the reasoning, etc., and not just the difficulty in monetizing YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so at the core of it, you probably understand this. You have a Patreon community of guys that, as far as a content creator, the ultimate level that somebody can show appreciation for you is that, hey, your content is so like valuable to me that I will pay for that content, right? That means the most as a content creator, because especially on YouTube, ad revenue is this kind of like up and down game that you can't ever figure out, and it constantly changes. The YouTube algorithm is this constant thing that you're like, let me fight with this and figure out what I got to do now. So when somebody's like, I love the shit you do, I will pay to watch that thing. There is this on our end. It's like, hey, if you appreciate the content to that level, like I want to give you, it's kind of like it works in both ways. You want to give me money. I think every single day, as much as I can, of how much I can give to people that give me money. It goes far beyond like giving them an episode or something like that. So on our end, it was like, these people are paying money for a show. Like, I want to be able to give them something even more than a motorcycle, right? I want them to have some sort of exclusivity. And, YouTube is not a place to watch, and mostly podcasts are different, obviously, because it's an ongoing conversation. And the Wreck Bike Rebuild videos that we used to put out weren't bad, but they were 30, 45 minutes long. We would cut out 60% of the content. So we'd film it, but I'm not going to put an hour and 30-minute build episode of us tearing down a motorcycle on YouTube. It's just not going to do well. The 35-minute videos did really well, but, we did a few seasons of like, there's so much knowledge that has to get thrown out. You know what I mean? It's just not to the standard that YouTube has to be at. So YouTube does really well of just following stuff. It's just people wanting to be a part of this thing and follow it along. So part of it was, okay, this can like solve two problems with one stone, right? Or kill two birds with one stone. We get to the Patreon people. We don't have to cut out nearly as much now as we used to, because it's all about how much information can we give all those people. Whereas YouTube is like, how can we condense this information down to make it as easily watchable as possible? Yeah. And at the core, that's the main thing. Like, we have YouTube, they're totally different edits. Like the YouTube edit, I'm holding my EOS R little camera, and then the Patreon edit is full cinema camera. You know what I mean? They are two totally different episodes, two totally different cuts. Like
YouTube, you're constantly trying to grab attention and hold it, aren't you? And
absolutely. It's like they don't want right. So that kind of solves that problem of giving Patreon this specific video that's longer, and it's kind of like, it's informational. If you were going to pay to go to a motorcycle technical institute, they're not going to let you in there for free and to learn all the information. So the way we kind of look at it is like, yeah, you're paying for a show, you get a motorcycle, but you also learn a shit ton. Like, the amount of knowledge Brian has and just spews on the episodes is invaluable. And, we have I made it to the $5 level, so that $5 a month is not a lot of cash. So that way, if we made that level for like you guys in the UK, or there's a lot of people around the world that watch Wreck Bike Rebuild Garage. Obviously, they can't win the motorcycle, because how the hell legally do you do that? Don't even want to try. So we knew that transition was going to be, it's the same with anything. If you take something away from somebody that they were getting for free, they're going to feel entitled to that because they got it for free at one point in time. So we had a lot of pushback on like, well, why are you taking it away? Like, we deserve those videos and stuff like that. And it's, sometimes you have to make a hard decision, and you have to trust that what's going to be good down the road. Right when it happened, it's like, of course everybody's gonna be pissed off. If you were getting like free shit from a company, and then that company was like, hey, you have to pay for this stuff now, you would feel like, well, that's not fair. I've been getting it for free. So you have to, you have to take that into consideration. But I truly believe that we're making far better content now than we were. Not only for YouTube, YouTube's getting a video made for that platform, whereas Patreon is getting a cut made for that platform. So gotcha. We're still in that kind of weird phase of like, people are pissed off about it, but I can tell you that I truly believe about a year down the road, nobody will know the difference. People will enjoy the content. If they really enjoy the content, they can come over to Patreon and get the extra videos, the extra content. Like, we have awesome plans for Patreon, and we're always thinking of like, because those are the people paying for shit. Like, how can I give back? How can I give back as much as I can to show that how much I appreciate them trusting me with their money, and how I can do the most with that. So that's kind of the mentality of it. It's just making making content for the correct platform and trying to give back as much as I can to the people that are financially supporting the show.
Yeah, absolutely get that. Yeah, I mean, Patreon for me is why I'm trying not to exist purely on. Well, I can't exist just on my Patreon. The Patreon definitely makes up the majority of my income from all this. Because for me, my views are, talking with like some other big YouTubers over here, motovloggers. We have Missing and Flyer, who's probably one of the biggest. We've got Lamb Chops, Richie Vida, and the four of us are sort of a little group. We all know each other personally now.
Yep.
Chatting, and you share your analytics and stuff, don't you? And my views are horrendous for like my subscriber level. My views seem to be really down, but like the people who watch for a long time, and my Patreon following is fairly decent, but so my ad revenue is nothing. It's terrible, I couldn't survive on my ad revenue. So
absolutely not.
No, so it makes you think outside the box, and Patreon was something I didn't think anyone would do, because why would they when you can watch it for free? But people do, don't they? They invest in you, and I'm the same as you. I'm starting to think I need to give you more. I've got to give something back, and then but that just adds to your work level. And
it does, and that's I could run my entire channel with no problem by myself if I didn't include the Wreck Bike Rebuild series. I would have no problem cranking videos out and getting them all filmed. And granted, camera car work on first rides would be a little difficult, but my wife is a good driver. But when you add that Patreon thing on and you start being like, okay, Operation make their money worth it. That's when it's like, okay, let's get a team of guys on. We live stream the show, like filming the show. And people can, at the highest level on Patreon, can watch us live. And I've got a guy producing the live stream so he can talk he's our voice between, because, we're working. I don't even have time to deal with the camera, much less a live stream chat. So I've got him there just watching the chat. If something happens, if the audio goes out or it's weird or the camera needs to be closer, we put a lot of time into our live stream. We've got this really cool thing I'm super proud of. One, we have this overhead cam that we set up, which is really neat. But we have it to where the camera our main cam will wirelessly feed to the live stream so they can see the shot that's going to make it into the video. Yeah, we probably put too much time into our build streams, but man, I'll tell you, it is rewarding when it's a pain in the ass to get everything set up and everything working, but when we're doing a build stream and it's not a lot of people, like we're talking for our Patreon, it's $60 a month, which is an asinine amount of money. I cannot fathom how somebody would do that, but for that level, for fucking $60 a month, dude, I better be working my ass off for that.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
that's it's really one of the cool things. It's a driver for us to be like, all right, if these guys are going to entrust $60 with us every month, we better be fucking giving them something good. So that's why we've got the podcast for Patreon at the middle level. We've got the build stream, which is the main thing you get for the $60 on top of the more entries for the bike and stuff. But it's a driver, man. It's like, dude, I'm gonna take that $60 and I'm gonna do some good shit with it. You trust me?
No, I bet. I bet. That's a good idea. I like that. Yeah, I'm always trying to think of something extra I can give back, not only for the patrons but the different tiers as well. So it's interesting that. Yeah, have to put my thinking cap on.
Don't ever take it off, man. Just leave it on. Just live in that world all the time.
Next one, RZ Ted. To both of us, which bike is a guilty pleasure? Ooh.
I know exactly what this is.
Go on,
so the other day, I rode for the first time ever an MV Agusta 800, a Dragster 800 RR. I had never ridden an MV Agusta before, bro. I don't want to own it because I would get in trouble, and two, I just don't want something to happen to it and then the maintenance to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
But if I had just the screw around cash, I'd have a glass box in the corner of my garage, and maybe twice a month I would take it out. I would just go for a 1-2 hour ride, and I would put it in its glass box, and I would be done with it. That is probably what I would do, because that thing is just gross and beautiful at the same time. It was so good. So good.
Cool. Guilty pleasure for me. I've never ridden the Augusta. God, what was a good one that I rode? Well, the new BMW S1000RR, that has a little special place in my heart, because I did a review on that. Yeah, I did a review on that bike, and that bike, somebody complained. Another police officer who I work with, I don't know who it is, but I know they must work where I used to work. Yep. Somebody complained to our internal affairs and said he's riding fast and he's given the Met Police a bad name. So I was then suspended and put under investigation because of that video. And then ultimately that vid led me to make the decision that I've had enough of all this, and I resigned from the police. So that bike is amazing. It is absolute insanity, but so refined at the same time.
Yep.
But that bike will either kill me or put me in jail. So I would have that bike.
I've ridden the S1000RR one time. I think it was either a 2012 or a 2014 model, and it was like 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. But shit, man, for BMW to just come in there and just be like, yeah, we're gonna make a super sport.
Yeah.
Blech, here it is. Best thing on the market. It'd be like, man, fuck y'all. Like, go back to making your GS. Stop trashing the market over here with this glory gold.
I know.
Yeah.
Like, part of me wants to go, you know what? I did the world trip on the Gixxer, the sports bike, and then I've moved to the GS, and then part of me thinks, I want to take an S1000RR and go, right, well, the GS can do it.
Bro, you're meshing them. You got your BMW GS. You got it makes sense. Get BMW on the phone.
Well, yeah, we'll see. I've got a thing about electric as well now. I reluctantly reviewed one of the Zero bikes a couple of years ago, and I've fallen in love with electric. It's just like, shit, man, this is a lot of fun. Yeah. The torque's amazing. Have you ridden the Energicas yet? Have you taken one of them out?
So I've ridden a couple of the Zeros, and those are the only electric bikes I've ridden so far. Right. But dude, I'm fully here for the electric thing. Like, obviously being mechanically inclined, I'm like, hey, less shit to go wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so
I do think the motorcycle industry will drag along. You know, I think the car industry will swap over faster than the motorcycles, because, you know, for one, people have to have cars, people don't have to have bikes, so bikes are inherently more of a I want to have a good time thing. And I think, you know, us riders, we like the so I think it'll take some time, but I think if more people rode Zeros or any, you know, whatever electric bike, they would get it faster than just watching videos, because like it's a whole different feeling just zooming through and all you hear is this.
Absolutely, you know it's okay. Yeah, you haven't got the sound of the engine, and the smell, but then you can hear other stuff, can't you? It's mental. You know, you can hear the noise of the other traffic. You hear, like, if you're going down country lanes, you can hear the animals, and you're just like, this is crazy. This is nuts.
Right, absolutely.
And the acceleration is phenomenal.
Yeah, so I think the acceleration of that instant torque, I think, is going to help the transition whenever it gets to there. You know, because people are going to get on this like, oh, it's an electric thing, and then they twist the throttle and they're like, holy fuck, and then they're going to fly off the bike, you know. So I think that'll help, but there is something about the, you know, a loud exhaust on, not a loud exhaust, but like a good exhaust on a bike, because loud is not good, but you know, if you get like an R1 like rumble, like how you know, it's gonna be rough to replace that. I know. I've told the guys and my wife, I was like, this MT10, whenever I buy it from Yamaha, is probably going to be my last like combustion engine vehicle. We've got like a 6-year-old Jeep, and I'm just like, man, just keep chugging along until I can get like some sort of electric something. I am fully here for the maybe. Maybe. I don't know. I really don't think the Jeep's going to hold out that long, but it would be glorious if it did. That's the dream, man. If that piece of shit can just hold on for a few more years, that would be awesome. I'm hoping for it.
Right, what other questions have we got here? Matt Rowe Designs. Have you reconsidered doing your Bike Talk podcast with Motonosity and Walterific since lockdown?
Interesting question. The timing of that is so cool. I can't say anything right now, and I will say stay tuned, and we will find out.
All received. All received.
Yeah.
Watch this space.
Right. Absolutely. That's the timing of that question is absolutely impeccable. But yeah.
Matt has a bit of a background within the industry, and he seems to know a lot of people, and a lot of what's going on. So you never know. Right. You might. He may know people you know. You don't know.
You're in on it.
What have we got here? Mark Elvin, jock biker. Would you ship a project bike over to the UK as a UK Patreon member if a UK Patreon member won the bike? Yeah, we mentioned that earlier, didn't we?
Honestly, if I knew how to legally do it, I would totally be down. Like that is not a question at all. But there's just a giant legal wall that kind of, if you want to do that, you got to pay a lot of money to a lawyer. You got to pay a lot of money in shipping, and you have to start playing this game of, if I ship to the UK, how much more money would I have to make that happen?
To cover that,
and how many UK people would sign on for that? Because my audience is massively US, you know? So it probably wouldn't make financial sense to open the UK up, because I don't know if enough people would come in to cover that cost. So that's one of the major reasons for like not even going down, because I'm just looking at the analytics of like how many people are coming in from here versus there. So I don't foresee that happening, but I mean, you know, if ever I could, I would do it. It needs to make finance. You know, it's that business thing. Like, the business has to run well.
Absolutely.
And, you know, that I just don't see that working. But who knows? I'm just some random dude that makes YouTube videos. You know what I mean?
It's not like you've not got enough on your plate as it is, Chase. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
I've got multiple plates, and they're all full. Yeah, absolutely. See what happens now? Up, everything fell down. Sweet.
Paul Brown, he says he's new to Chase on Two Wheels.
Welcome.
There's an Irish motovlogger called Gorilla Biker. He got him onto it. But he says he's loving the Wreck Bike Rebuild series, currently on Series 3. His question: is there a bike that you would desperately like to get onto the series but haven't managed to get hold of yet?
Well, for one, thank you, Gorilla Biker. I know exactly who that is. And it's awesome to see Patreon people, you know, spreading the word of like how much we're doing over on Patreon. So that's really cool to see.
I've been on his pod. He's got a podcast as well, actually. I was on his podcast. So.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah, he's a funny guy.
So the guys and I have been talking about doing a cafe build. So what bike we want to do a cafe build with, I don't know yet, but I imagine that finding the source bike, if you want to call it that, I imagine that's probably going to be a pretty difficult process, but that is something I'm pretty excited about. I love, I'm a big visual guy, and I love the way the cafe bikes look. And I think, you know, we were talking earlier about the bobber and how much satisfaction we all got from building that. But the bobber wasn't my thing, but a cafe bike would 100% be like my visual thing. I've never ridden one, so I can't say that I would like to ride one. Right. But just the fact of loving the way they look, the design aesthetics as those bikes have, I think that one's probably going to be pretty challenging. And we don't have one scheduled, you know, or anything like that. We're trying to juggle 3 CBRs at the time, so we don't get to think about anything else right now. But we've been talking about that, but I think that one's going to be probably pretty challenging to find the original, like what to start with. Because you also, you know, like we want to pick one that I call it the Illuminati triangle. Have you seen where in cafe bikes there's that little triangle right under the seat sometimes,
right?
Where if you pick the right bike with the right frame with the right electricals, you can have this like open triangle like in the under the seat, and it looks. Oh, yeah. It is literally so important to me that I will decide the motorcycle that we pick based on that, because it's one of those things. Yeah. I mean, well, because like at the end of the day, you know, we're just trying to make really cool projects, and in order, because we do these things for like a year, you know what I mean? So it's a big investment to be like, hey, when you choose that path, that's your year that you're going to be building that. So you really need to have that like motivation to want to see that final product. And like little stuff like that, like it could be a headlight. Perfect example, our CBR 1000. The main thing driving me with that bike for this season is there's this fairing that you can get for a Ducati Monster that we are going to try to make onto the CBR 1000. Don't know how it's going to work. Don't know if it's going to be possible, but for me, it's my driving factor of like, if this happens like we want it to, it is going to be the coolest shit ever. So you find that one like key, and that drives you for the entire year. So if we were going to do the cafe, that would be something I would spend a lot of time in. It's like we can only do this bike, or this bike. You know what I mean? Because we can get that kind of open slot under the tail or under the seat. So yeah, the cafe will be it.
I get what you're saying there. You've got to be invested in that project, like yourself, mentally and emotionally, haven't you? To have the drive to, especially if that's a year that you're going to be working at it.
And yeah, you're going to have days where you're like, I'm not here to fucking to deal with this shit right now. But that's kind of the same thing with having, you know, different series on the channel, where if you're going to do something consistently, you really need to enjoy it, because it's really going to help those days where you're like, bro, I'm tired. I don't want to do this. But then, you know, you start working on it. You're like, well, okay, I get it. I'm here because I enjoy it a lot, and I want to get to that end goal. So it just kind of helps you. It kind of buffers you for those days, because inevitably, even if you love what you do, you're going to have shit ass days, you know? Yeah. So it gives you something to fall back on those days.
Just going off of the question a little bit at the moment, where do you see yourself in like 20 years' time? 30 years time?
20
That's
years.
something I think about. I think to myself, what? You know, I'm 43 at the moment, and I think, well, you know, maybe by the time I hit 50, are people going to want to tune in to some fat 50-year-old bearded bloke chatting about motorbikes?
I totally appreciate that, but you have to think about it. Even if somebody is not matching you as a demographic, they're still interested in not only you, because you're going to have subscribers that lock in with you and stay for a long time. There's some people, when I started riding, I rode a yellow SV650. It matched my yellow Mustang. I was a straight tool. But I have guys that comment on videos, and my first channel was called Chasing 3D. I don't recommend you going and watching it. It's literally that's the one I started with.
I'm going straight there as soon as this is done.
No, you know what? It'll be good. You go watch that to see where motovlogging started from. Just be prepared. Quality's terrible, but I have guys that comment on my videos and be like, "Oh, this reminds me of the yellow SV days." That is 10 years ago. So you'll have people subscribe to you for a super long time, but you also have to remember that over time, your experiences are going to modify how you describe things and talk about things and do things. So you are a person that are going to evolve, and the people that are interested in that new perspective are also like, you're going to have new people constantly coming in, because they're like, you know, you're going to be a more mature guy who has more experience, and they don't want to watch some guy that doesn't know what he's fucking talking about. They want to watch a seasoned guy that knows what he's doing. So I think in that regard, I feel like you can make content indefinitely. You know what I mean? Because you're always going to have a valuable opinion. Interestingly, I run my channel, like, you know, I'm interested in all the camera stuff, but in the back of my head, I always have this like, What if shit hits the fucking fan, though?
Mm-hmm.
So especially now. So what I don't actively do this. It's a very passive thing, but I build my channel and the stuff I do and the way we film stuff in a way that, just for shits and giggles, let's just throw this out there. Literally tomorrow, YouTube puts this big announcement out. It's like, hi everyone, for whatever reason, we're shutting down. YouTube, we are going to cease to exist. Now, in a realistic world, another video platform would pop up and everybody would just migrate. But let's just say that video stuff, like we understand it, just goes away. Yeah. I have built our production to the point where, given 3 months-ish, I could shift to a full production company. I could, reach out to companies. I could reach out to car dealerships. Like, we have a full camera car rig. We can do some high level filming. So I kind of rest on that of like, if something happened and YouTube just went away, the amount of enjoyment still, working off that enjoyment thing of like, I get off on this fucking camera car shit, dude. It is so cool to see that level of a motorcycle moving on a highway with a camera that's not shaking at all.
It's impressive when I watch it on yours.
Dude, it blows me away. Every time I'm editing a first ride, I'm like, fuck yes, this is awesome. So I know we're moving in the right direction, but I love that stuff. So
the closest I've got to that is the Insta360 on the end of the selfie stick, bolted to the front of the bike, but it waves about like that, bouncing around everywhere.
Let me go ahead and tell you, man. Let me ruin the pie for you. Quality doesn't matter shit. I do it because I enjoy it. A first ride, my old first rides get just as many views as my new first rides without a camera car. Now, when I'm figuring out my first ride videos, I'm like, oh yeah, I want people to be able to know what they're gonna look like from the cars, because people can admit it or not, they really give a shit about what they look like on their motorcycles.
Absolutely.
If they don't want, if they want to say that they don't care, that's fine, but they do. So my thought process is, okay, well, we're going to do something that differentiates us from the rest of the market. I don't know of anybody else that does camera cars on their first rides. So I'm like, okay, this will be perfect. This will be something that kind of makes ours unique, and that somebody would come to ours for that. But in the back of my head, I'm like, and if we go down this route, because it's expensive as fuck, it's taken us 4 years and a lot of work to get to the point where we can do this. But if something happened, I could wrap together a production company in a matter of weeks, and suddenly we're making professional videos. So I kind of rest on that. I hope we never have to do that, because right now we make whatever videos we want. There's not really a client end of it. So obviously it's far preferred to make whatever fucking videos we want. But definitely, if we had to, I fully believe I could take all my guys and we could really just hammer out a production company if we had to.
Nice. Yeah, it's good logic behind that, man. That's the way to be. Absolutely. Right, last one of the Patreon questions. We're only
going to make it through the patrons.
I know, yeah, but there's still like another 3 platforms. Right, last one. Bolt Hole Biker. A lot of the US motovlog channels are very popular in the UK, but the opposite doesn't seem to be the case. What, in your opinion, do you think a British motovlog channel could do that would spark the interest of a US audience? Good question.
That's a great question, and I've noticed that since the get-go. When I started, there was a couple guys that I'm still buddies with, Spicy 110.
Oh yeah.
Who's over there? Because he's been doing it a long ass time. And there was a guy I used to watch,
Mr. Fish. Do you watch him? Chronicles of Mr. Fish.
I don't think so. I used to watch a guy. This is super early days, like True OXO or something like that. Ooh, something along those lines. Super old channel. But I'm not really sure. I noticed it then that they would be like, for whatever reason, the views just don't come in. Like I said, though, the majority of my views are US market. So I don't know if it's the US motorcycle market doesn't know about it. I don't know if it's YouTube doesn't push the UK people to the US people. Or obviously they do to a level, but like not to the level that a US person gets pushed. And I've watched a ton of videos in the UK, and phenomenal content. 44 Teeth make phenomenal content, right?
Amazing, aren't they?
So I don't know what it is, but I feel like it's like I kind of feel like it's a back end YouTube thing. You know what I mean? But I'm sure there's a way to work the system to make it work for you. I just don't know what it is, you know? Yeah. I would say probably from my experience, 44 Teeth has the best strategy for it. Like they're making content that a ton of people are watching. So, you know, obviously their level of production is pretty high. So there's a lot of work to cover that ground. So how would an everyday UK motovlogger do it? I don't know. If I was to recommend a way, the best way I would know how is to do bike reviews, you know, because we all...
They're the popular ones, aren't they?
Right. So don't do the 125s because we don't have those here. So so I would focus on bikes that you know the US market has, and I would go into a dealership and try to do any... If you can't do a dealership, here's a workaround. Do you guys have like a KTM dealer, or maybe not KTM, like a Suzuki dealer? Well, they have like a semi truck come out and you can do like a demo day. Do you have those?
They go to like some of the really popular biker cafes during the summer.
Right.
Okay. And they'll rock up, like Ducati do it, Triumph do it,
right.
KTM. Yeah, they'll turn up.
Right. So, you know, I don't know if a regular motorcycle dealer is going to let you just take bikes out. That you might have to build a relationship with that. But if you're trying to really push some views, I would go to every single demo day. I would ride every motorcycle and do, you know, title it first rides, because everybody titles them that. So you're gonna put your fish into the big pond, right? Yeah. And you never know, the way you say something, the way you describe how the throttle feels might click with enough people to where your little fish can get into the jet stream of you know, YouTube promotion. So if somebody was coming to me like, hey, I'm a UK guy, I want to do moto vlogging, how do I get some of that American market? I would just say to do that. You know, that's probably the easiest way I could imagine to.
I think really a lot of people don't appreciate A, the work involved, and B, the time that's involved. And like, you're talking years to start seeing any sort of general growth on your channel. Normally, you could be one of them that gets a video that triggers the algorithm, and it's just like, woof, off you go. Right. I mean, if you can do that, awesome. That's what you want. But most people like me, I've been doing this since 2012, but I've really only properly gone for it at least one vid a week since end of 2016. So even that is 3 and a bit years, you know, just constantly chugging away. And I think a lot of people think they're going to start this and within 6 months they'll have like 100,000 subs and companies will be throwing stuff at them. You knew.
I mean, like you said though, like we're in a world, the motorcycle industry on YouTube is getting more popular. There are massive channels on there, so the audience is there for a viral hit to happen and for your channel to get triggered. Yes, absolutely. But if you're starting a channel with the wants to make money off of it, you're already in the wrong game. You're just you need to go get a regular job at a motorcycle dealership if you want to make money in the motorcycle industry. It needs to have at its core, you have a passion for motorcycles and you want to share your experiences. And as far as the time thing, it's a lot. So if you get into it wanting money, bro, you're gonna get hit in the face with life so hard, so fast. Yeah, but I mean, if you really enjoy motorcycles, I would go out and I'd be doing every damn demo day. But then what you do, another thing that in my experience has been extremely important that cannot be understated is you have to make consistent content. You can't do one video a month. The best case scenario is you make something every week. Obviously, when you're starting out, that's a lot, but as consistent as you can possibly be. So if we were making a battle plan, I'd be like, all right, so you said summertime, the biker cafes are having all the demo days. Yep. You go out, you say, okay, I'm going to get there first thing in the morning. I'm going to record as many bikes as I can. And you have this like folder of content, and then you just sparse it out. One bike a week. You know what I mean? I would be willing to bet. I mean, obviously there's a lot of, you've got to learn how to talk to a camera and how to take people through an experience that you're having, which is a skill in itself, because you're trying to verbalize what you're feeling as you're feeling it. So there's a lot going on, but if you can get that down, I'd be willing to bet you could have a relatively successful UK channel, even given the added hurdle that you guys have that kind of like not locks you off from US, but like it's a tight rope that you guys have to walk.
Yeah, I've noticed I'm starting to get, funnily enough, since I started to do the odd little Harley review, it seems to have obviously attracted some of the American market. So I've got a lot more of the American market now since I started doing the Harley.
Well, so that's a good point then for the UK guys, is to focus. I guess that goes back to do the bikes that we have, and I've noticed the Harley YouTube guys do well. There's a massive market. So there's a massive market for that. So that could even be a better strategy. Do the bike reviews, but do Harleys.
Yeah, I took out the BMW K1600, and that one did incredibly well in the States. Still does, and it's over a year old, and it's still one of my biggest earning vids. It's nuts. But we're lucky in the UK. I get a lot of Americans comment on this, that over there you can't do this. For us, we can just turn up at a dealership and go, I want to take out a ZX10. You got a ZX10 for a test? And dealerships just give you their demo bike and off you go. You give you a license. Yeah, we are really lucky because most places will let you do that.
Oh, in that case, you're solid. So that's one of the reasons I did that. That's one of the reasons I started my first Stride series, is because I mean, the first conversation of like this young YouTube guy coming into this massive ass dealership and be like, you know what you guys should do? You should let me ride a motorcycle around for an hour and a half or 2 hours, and I'll make a YouTube video about it, and it'll be worth it. So I got super lucky that they were like, yeah, that's not a fucking terrible idea. But one of the reasons for that series is like, okay, well, you can't go do this, so I'll do it for the people so that you can actually have knowledge. Because like bikes are expensive as shit, man. You don't want to go out and spend $12,000 on a motorcycle that you don't think is going to like give you a super giant grin the entire time you're riding it,
Absolutely.
So
definitely.
That was the mentality behind that. But yeah, that's crazy. You guys can just and y'all's roads are psycho. I would
like anyone can do it. I'm not talking about if you're a YouTuber. Anyone off the street can go into a bike dealership here in the UK and say, have you got a demo of the CBR1000, the GS, the whatever you want to take out, if they have it in the shop. If they've got a demo bike, they'll go, just give us your license, and you get it for half hour, an hour, however long.
Dude, that's so cool.
Nuts.
Good for you guys. Good for y'all.
Right, I'm conscious of the time. Have you got time for one more question?
Let's do. All right, final question. Here we go.
Right, okay, I'm going to go to Instagram. So TeapotOne Insta.
It's one question.
I will randomly select one question. So let's scroll through because there's shed loads, and we'll land on there. Right. Right. Go. This is from Dinger1011. Question is Brian a bit of a diva to work with, and how pissed off do you get when he lords his experience and knowledge over you? That was random. That was a random question. I promise.
That's a good question. So I mean, the reason Brian gets frustrated a lot of times is because we are on polar different sides of a knowledge spectrum.
Yeah.
I know I am very cognizant on Wreck Bike Rebuild. It comes across like I'm an absolute idiot. I know that. But one thing that Brian does understand is that, yes, I have no clue what I'm doing when it comes to grabbing a wrench and working on a motorcycle. But, a lot of stuff doesn't make it to video, and we're here all day. Brian is an intricate part of this process, this monstrosity that we have going on. So he sees that I'm a very capable human in my area. So his frustration, I think, comes out in the fact that he has a lot of knowledge, and it's hard to get that knowledge into my head. type thing. So yeah, he does get super frustrated sometimes, 100%. But the cool thing about it is we've all been working together for a couple years now, and like sometimes it does get heated. Even guys that are just working on your bike and stuff, the stuff is frustrating. Sometimes shit just does not happen like it should, and it's a frustrating process. You add on top of that this guy that knows so much information, and he's trying to translate that to this guy that does not have the mental capacity or the vocabulary to understand it. A lot of friction happens, but dude, whatever happens on camera, however frustrated we all get, because I get frustrated too, at the end of the day, it can be like, all right, cool, we made it through that, do some high fives, and we're totally good. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to shy away from it. Brian gets super frustrated sometimes, but it's justified though.
And that's going to be part of the appeal. Is that it's the human element of your series, because it's just human nature, isn't it, to get frustrated at things. Even, you know what it's like if you spend lots of time with your missus. If you go away on holiday with your wife and you're together all the time, there's times when you're like, just give me a break. Just
right. Well, there's like
anyway.
No, yeah, absolutely. There's so one thing that we kind of pride ourselves on with the Wrecked Bike Rebuild stuff is, for one, we want to give as much information as possible, but we also want it to be this real thing. It's literally, you know, we've got cameras and shit like that, but at the end of the day, dude, it's me and my buddy trying to talk me through the process of how to rebuild this motorcycle. It's not, if Brian's frustrated, it's because Brian's fucking frustrated. If Chase is annoyed and tired, Chase is gonna look annoyed and tired. So we kind of really appreciate the fact that it's not this fake bullshit. It's not like, you know, we don't cut the camera and be like, hey, Brian, get real fucking pissed off and want to punch Chase in the face. Okay. All right, let's roll camera. Okay, go. You know, it's not that. It's like, it's the everyday shit that happens when you're working on a bike. And even Brian, at the knowledge level he has, even he gets frustrated with shit. You know, one of the things we do is we're taking wrecked motorcycles. So inevitably, there's going to be some shit fucked up. So how fucked up is that shit? We don't know. We have to find out on camera, but we really like the idea of it's a real motorcycle build show. It's not a guy in a shop that has all his perfect tools all the time. Even now, like I have a shit ton of tools now that we've acquired over, you know, building all the bikes. We still run into the problem of like, fuck, there's one tool. We can't take the fucking engine out because we don't have the one goddamn tool. So it's real life shit, man. Which is, I think we appreciate it, and I think people that watch the show appreciate that.
Absolutely.
It's not embellished, it's not fake. It is what it is. Brian's a hothead and gets hot-headed.
It is a killing formula. It really is, and
I appreciate it.
It's awesome viewing. If you've not checked it out, folks, you can get a taster on YouTube. But I'm a patron as well. There's different tiers, but I'm one of Chase's patrons, so it's well worth checking out. Absolutely well worth checking out. Great content.
I appreciate that, man.
Dude, I can't believe that time is gone already. That's fantastic.
We got 5 whole questions answered. We only got 5 questions answered, but there's a lot of information in each of those questions. We went down lots of rabbit holes. So
there's loads more. So if you ever want to do a part 2, I'm well up for it. So never know.
I will keep my eyes peeled on the calendar and watch for the opening, and I'll let you know.
Right, cool. You're on. Well, if I get to the States, I will let you know, and I'll come see you.
I got a secret road I'm taking you when you come here. We won't talk about it on camera because I don't want it to get popular. But oh my god, I love it. It's my go-to road.
Before I end it, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to? Any sponsors you want to plug? Feel free.
Sponsor-wise, Ruroc is my boys. I love those guys. They make a phenomenal helmet, so the product is solid. And shout out to all my Wreck Bike Rebuild Garage Patreon people that allow us to make not only the show, but all the other content we make, because all my team of guys, like, I use them on every show we make, you know, whether it's on Patreon or not. So if it wasn't for the community I have over there, you would not see any of the content that I have coming out. So I just appreciate the shit out of those guys, honestly. Awesome. I'm sure you can understand that, right?
100%. I'm humbled every single time the old payday comes from Patreon or somebody else joins it, and you just think, wow, it's just amazing. The support is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
So shout out to y'all and your Patreon people. Patreon
very
people
much.
unite. Woohoo!
And to everybody else, if you've not checked out Chase's channel, head on to YouTube or any of his socials. I'll leave all the links down below in the description. If you listen to the podcast, check out the show notes. If you're watching the YouTube vid, it'll be in the description down below. Chase, thank you so much for coming on, mate. I really have appreciated it. I know you're a very, very busy man. All the
Thank
best.
you, man. This was fun.
Yeah, loved it. Really, really enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
Folks, keep on doing your thing. We are getting on out of this catastrophe that we're all in at the moment. Things are opening up here in the UK. I am hitting the road very shortly, so keep watching the socials. I may well be coming to a place near you soon, so let's meet up for a brew. In the meantime, keep doing your thing, keep looking after those that you love, but most importantly, live your life. Woo-ha! Dude, that was mega. Loved it.